That box, an image or a symbol that comes to mind when you think of characterization.
So at Kolbe Catholic College, our focus on vocabulary started with looking at incoming Year 7s, their cohort data. What we had analysed in that data was that there was gaps in their vocabulary knowledge, and that corresponded quite well with the NAPLAN analysis. So as a leadership team, we decided that focusing on vocabulary not only will improve their reading, but also their writing. And as those that have marked NAPLAN know that in the vocab section, students that can use vocabulary with precision are the ones that are successful writers. But to be able to do that, we need to make sure that we have a consistent approach across all subjects. Teachers naturally teach vocabulary in their classrooms, and that's valuable. But what we've realised is that a consistent, explicit approach across multiple subjects not only helps the teachers be organised and it's really easy for them to implement, but that students are getting the same experience, whether they're in maths, English or science. And the way that that starts is that teachers explicitly teach the particular term. And often those terms mean different things in different subjects. So a term might mean something in maths as opposed to English. But students need to know what that term means in that subject, and that's the role of the teacher to explicitly teach that. But once they've done that, students should have the opportunity to revisit that multiple times throughout the unit. So as a team, we develop these resources. They're really easy for teachers to implement, that throughout the sequence, students have an opportunity to revise, apply those vocab terms. So at the end of that unit, not only have they learned the content, but they are stronger in terms of literacy and the words we've identified as teachers that are really important for those students to learn.
So if we look at the word characterization, there are 6 syllables. Characterization. I want you to have a go now. Turn to your partner and you're going to count out the word characterization. Go.
Each faculty leader, so English, maths, science, they know their subjects best, so they identified words that are the best bang for buck. So we can't teach hundreds and hundreds of words, otherwise we'd run out of time, but faculty specialists chose the words that were going to be the best impact on those students. In terms of resources, we developed as a literacy team some templates about how to explicitly teach those terms.
So at the start of this lesson, you all got a Freya model worksheet for me. Can you please grab that out so that's in front of you and have a pen ready to write, ready to go?
In terms of the activities, we've got a number of different activities based on the Freya model or possible sentences, and they're really effective because for teachers they're very low prep. We know that teachers have a lot to do, and we don't want this to be, we don't want the attitude of teachers to be like, oh, something else I've got to do. But if we can develop these templates where teachers can pretty much grab them, fill in the word, and meet both help their planning, but also literacy objectives as a college, that works really well for our school and those teachers as well.
We are going to be learning about characterization, and I'm going to give you the explicit definition that we want you to use and that you'll continue to use through this unit of work.
So we started very much in the exploration phase. We worked with the Solar Lab from La Trobe University. The literacy and numeracy team worked on exploring what was the best way to tackle whole school literacy, and we landed on subject-specific vocabulary. In that phase as well, we started to find some strategies to try and improve the students' subject-specific vocabulary. So we went through some testing in the literacy team about different strategies, what works for the students, what didn't, all the while incorporating good explicit instruction into those strategies to make sure we're getting the best out of the students, the best out of our teaching.
That was really good. That was good.
All right, thank you everyone. Well done. I heard some great discussion happening.
We then moved to the experimenting phase where we started to try some of these strategies in our classrooms once we'd had a bunch or researched a bunch that we could give it a try. So we all started to try these strategies, which was really, really exciting. Myself, not being an English or a literacy expert, jumping into science lessons and trying these literacy strategies was a really, really rejuvenating experience as a teacher, especially because we incorporated those good explicit instruction strategies into them.
Okay, have a go. That's what we want.
We then moved to the expanding phase. So we launched the vocabulary project with the whole staff through a professional learning day. And we tackled things like etymology and morphology with the whole staff and looked at different tiers of words, so tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 words with everyone, which is really, really exciting time because lots of teachable and lots of new things. So we then expanded to our learning leader team. We got them to start to pick and refine lists of key tier 2 vocabulary words, and we upskilled them with the skills to go back to their teams and start to work with their teams on teaching the students these words.
If you're not 100% sure, that's okay. We are going to have a look at the definition, but I just want to see what you can come up with.
We
first.
then moved to the embedding phase, in which we asked all members of staff to prepare content and explicit instruction activities for those vocab words in their learning area. And we asked them to create resources for them and put them into the curriculum planning and have them specifically timed and placed into those learning sequences so that everyone can access them and everyone can do them.
You can have 30 seconds to have a go on your whiteboards. Let's go.
We know the most efficient way for students to learn is through explicit instruction, and we know ways that students learn best, including some of our core principles we do here, which is active recall, paced learning, because we know that this is the best way for students to learn and how their brains work. Today we're learning about something called characterization. Now you may have heard of this before, you might have learnt it in your previous year levels, and that's okay. But what I want us to do for our very first activity is something called a think, pair, share. Can I get you to turn to your partner right now? Give them a look. Some of the changes that I've noticed with this explicit vocab approach is that students understand more about why we teach vocabulary the way we do. They understand the steps involved and they can get on board with the process. It's achievable for all students, no matter what range they are. And also with teaching, instead of just giving them definitions, we're actually teaching them explicitly the definitions of the words that they'll carry through for the rest of their schooling. I want you each to have a turn now and discuss what you thought about characterization. What do you think it means? Go. What I'd like you to do now together is write a definition of characterization. Based on what you've heard from each other, come up with one definition of characterization, and then I want one person to share their answer to the class. Awesome, thank you guys. Nice loud voice, share your idea of characterization.
Characterization is when the author shows the speech of the character and of its traits and describing the character.
Excellent, traits of a character. Did anyone else get something similar to that about traits? Excellent. Let's go here, this group here.
Characterization is how a person or character is described.
Excellent, how they are described. So we've got traits, descriptions of a character. So the implementation journey was quite difficult in the beginning. Obviously with change and implementing anything new, it can be a slow process. It can be frustrating at times, trying to make sure that everyone's on board with the same processes and each class is following the same guidelines and activities. But over time, we've seen an improvement in the students' abilities, in their PAT testing and things like that because of the constant practices we've been implementing in our classrooms.
Kolbe adopted an evidence-based approach purely because we know that's what works. Teachers' time is really valuable, and the time that the students have in class is even more valuable. We only get one shot at it. So if we're going to do anything, we needed to make sure that it was going to be backed by some solid evidence, and we were sure that it was going to be worth our time. So when we looked at improving our vocabulary and more broadly literacy, we knew that it had to follow an explicit instruction approach, and the benefit that we have of what's happening at the moment is that Macs are also supporting us in building our staff capacity in that area. Some of the ways that our staff are building their capacity in the explicit instruction and more broadly the vision for instruction and everything that is within it are our staff participating in in-house but also PL that is run by Macs. So we've had a lot of staff go over to the Teach Well courses and they've been greatly beneficial, and we see our staff come back and they're transformed and they're really excited about going into the classroom and putting these strategies into place. We've got our maths team and some others starting to use more of the OCA resources, which have a lot of these explicit instruction approaches baked in by design. And then we bring all of that knowledge in and we run our own in-house professional learning. We can't send all 200 of our staff members off for a PL day, but what we can do is start to provide them with a similar experience. And by getting our own staff to deliver some of that PL in-house, means we're developing our own expertise and making some experts within our college that people can go to on a day-to-day basis.
Give yourselves a pat on the back, everyone. We've pretty much hit the nail on the head here.
Our participation in the School Improvement Network has been really beneficial. For me personally, it was great to see the message coming from Max that we should focus on very small and narrow goals. Not to, I guess, pull back our expectations, but more about focusing on one thing and doing it really well. In the past, there has been, within schools, a bit of a push to try and do everything all at once. Whereas now the message that we're receiving is just focus on one thing, make it work really well, take it slow and follow a very intentional process so that whatever you do sticks, rather than move on to the next initiative in 12 months' time because the year's over.
We're all doing the same teaching strategies and we're using the same shared language amongst our classes. It's not unusual to walk past a class at Kolbe and see the mini whiteboards being used, a daily review, or a think, pair, share and a cold call. All right, good morning everyone. We're going to start off with a review of what we covered last lesson. So can you pull your whiteboards out in front of you and open up your texter lids? The question is on the whiteboard. I'm going to read it to you. The question is, which one of these is not an example of a type of energy? You have 30 seconds to have a go. A little bit of a hint, there is more than one correct answer. Good job. Yes. Students know what to expect of their teachers and therefore have the cognitive space to focus on their lesson. Logistically, teachers are spending less time instructing students on how to participate in these strategies and more time can be spent checking for student understanding and providing feedback. And 10 more seconds, just the numbers, just the numbers. The leadership team have been quite considered in their approach to introducing these strategies to Kolbe. They've introduced a few key strategies and we've had the time to trial and implement them in our classes. The focus has been more about do a few things and do it well, so we have consistency amongst our classes. Hold your whiteboards up in 3, 2, 1, show. Good job. All right, put your whiteboards down and raise them for me, please. I've participated in a number of professional development sessions around cognitive load theory and explicit instruction. The college has led some whole staff sessions. I've also been a coachee in Kolbe's coaching program, as well as participated in Teachwell's masterclass program on explicit instruction. A combination of explicit teaching strategies I love to pair together is a think, pair, share, coupled with a non-volunteer cold call. I will make sure the question is presented on the whiteboard for a visual references. Students will have time. There'll be a countdown. I'll get their attention and then I'll use some sort of random name selected to select a student. All right, team, I have a think, pair, share question that we're going to follow up with a non-volunteer cold call. So the question is about the energy transformations we've been discussing so far. And I've got a picture of a toaster that we plug into the electrical socket. So it's powered by electrical energy. A toaster turns the electrical energy into 3 types of energy. Your job is to talk with your partner about what are the 3 types of energy it turns it into. You're going to have 30 seconds of talking time and then I'll do a countdown. And then I would like you to be quiet, please. All right, talk to your partners starting now. Go. All right, so I've got a deck of cards with all of your names on them. So I'm going to shuffle it so I'm picking someone at random. All right, Gabby, you're up. Electrical energy is turned into what 3 types of energy?
I'm pretty sure it's heat, light, and sound.
Very nice, good job. And let's check with our answers on the screen. Let's have a look. Heat, light, and sound, good job, well done. These strategies have been routinely established in my classes and students are well aware of the metacognition behind the strategies that we're using. They understand why they're given time to chat with someone else before they're called upon and they understand why non-volunteers are used instead of asking students to put their hands up.
It's easier to learn. They're showing us like what steps to do before just throwing it all at us.
I think it helps us understand it better in a way, because we just don't know what like the word means. We know where it came from and like how it became the word, you know?
Well, it helps us because we don't want a loud, noisy environment. It's just going to disrupt our learning. We want a nice, calm environment so we can get into the space so we can learn.
So one of the beautiful side effects of working on a whole school approach, and in particular working with staff on building up their capacity in explicit instruction with vocab, is that now we're starting to see some of these strategies appear in other areas of their teaching too. So vocab allowed us to do this in a really safe way with staff, do it together as a team, but now that that confidence has really built up across our colleagues, they're now feeling like they're in the space where they can put these practices in place in their classroom. So we're seeing a lot more of explicit approaches to presenting materials, making sure that the resources that they provide really don't overload students' working memory. We're seeing a lot of questioning during class time, whether that's through mini whiteboards or show me boards, cold calling or different check for understanding strategies. And that has all come about because staff have had a really positive experience with this vocabulary project, and now they're starting to make it real for themselves outside of that in their own teaching.
Kolbe's on a fantastic journey at the moment, aligned with the initiatives that are coming out of Max, Vision for Instruction, Vision for Engagement, now the Vision for Leadership. They are outstanding. As a system, I've never seen better directions and opportunities for schools to grow. I think that most school principals and schools themselves will find difficulties in developing programs because it's another layer, it's another thing that staff need to do. If you can recognise that this is the core business of a school, this is not another thing, this is exactly what we do in the school. We teach and we learn, and then the staff own it. They recognise, actually, this is going to improve my classes. This is going to make the classes calmer. This is going to see greater outcomes in terms of learning because it's core business. Then it removes those barriers. And I think at Kolbe we've been able to achieve that. There's an amazing ownership that's happening in this particular space in our school. So very exciting for the future for us.